qualifies in that category. I want to turn it over to, and we'll get to some questions. I saw a hand raised. I actually want you guys to talk a lot. So I just want to quickly turn over to Clyde. Clyde was sort of identified in New York Magazine only a few months ago. Time Out New York, sorry. Time Out New York as the Mr. Otaku of New York City. I mean, literally, it was this two-page spread where the reporter basically followed Clyde around New York City saying, all right, what do we do if we want to go beyond Hello Kitty? And Clyde was the guide. Clyde was the Virgil, if you will, to the reporter's Dante. So Clyde, I want to ask you, just give you a chance to talk about what you've seen. I mean, you've been a fan for a number of years now, and yet, as we've just been saying, it has really exploded more recently. What are your thoughts on that?
I have a couple remarks. Actually, I'd like to get down in front to make them. This is not my style, sitting behind a table.
Okay, sure.
If anybody's seen my presentations before, you know it's not my style.
So we'll give Clyde a couple of minutes to leap over the hump. So go around too.
Out of curiosity, how many people here were at my panel yesterday? One or two. And there's at least 4 Metro Anime Club members here. I'd like to talk to you after the panel. Please don't go away. Now, what I'd like to talk about, which ties into Roland's book but isn't discussed in it that much, is why exactly anime took off in the U.S., when it did and how it did. I don't have the answer, but I can talk about some of the causes. There was an explosion of anime interest in the United States in the late 80s. What you see is we had 3 companies were started at that point by fans or partly by fans to translate and market anime products. The 2 conventions toward the end of the 80s were planned and were actually carried out in the early 90s, Project Acon and AnimeCon. And ICON, the science fiction convention here in Long Island, had its very first anime track in '91. And that was, so what happened? It wasn't that the Japanese companies were had a big marketing push in the late 80s saying, let's get Americans to watch our stuff. That didn't happen. That wasn't the cause. This took the Japanese very much by surprise, from all that I've heard. So one of the causes of the anime in Japan was evolving rapidly. It was becoming more interesting to Americans. That was part of it. At least there was the substance there. So if they got interested, they could stay interested and they could grow their interest. The evolution, there's a lot of milestones to that evolution. I can't go over them all. I'll mention one. 71, you had the Lupin the Third TV show, which is, I understand, the very first animated TV show in Japan that was aimed at an adult audience. So that was a big thing. There were some big movies that came out in the mid-80s, like the Macross movie and Nausicaa. And there was the first OVA, which is Megazone 23 in 1985, which was basically a last-ditch effort to make some money out of a TV series they couldn't get on the air. And it was a big success, and the OVA channel became a fact. And this is tremendous, had a tremendous effect on how much anime could get produced, could get distributed, and could get made and get seen. Direct to video. Don't bother with the TV studios or the movie distributors. So that was huge. It was a delayed effect, but it was huge. So what was going on in America, and why were Americans becoming interested? Again, there's multiple answers. I certainly don't have all of them. One answer is you had a lot of Americans in the military in the Far East. For example, let's see, what was my first example? I went to AnimeCon 91, which was in San Jose. And there was a hotel room a couple doors down from me, occupied by a bunch of Marines who were stationed in Okinawa. And they had a bunch of computers and video equipment in their room. They were recording. AnimeCon 91, they were sending out anime